Hi there, welcome back to Terra Nova Philosophy Talks. My name is Tess, and today we'll be talking about the Yamas and Niyamas of yoga. So, the Niyamas and Yamas were first mentioned in the Rig Veda. However, they were most popularized by Patanjali during his Yoga Sutras, where he described yoga in 8 branches. The first 2 of which being Yamas and Niyamas. What that means is that the foundation of yoga is the Yamas and Niyamas. And without the Yamas and Niyamas, our meditation, our asana, isn't truly yoga. It's a workout and perhaps a mindfulness practice, but yoga truly are our moral belief system. And there's moral guidelines that are set out in the Yamas and Niyamas. So when we look at yoga, we're going to discover that it's really all about living properly. It's really about purifying our souls and our personalities so that we can exist on earth in the highest form that we can. And it is believed that it's through this ethical and moral understanding of the universe and practice that we can do that. So I'm actually going to set apart and do each Yama and Niyama in its own video later, and you'll see them. There'll be words like ahimsa and saka, and these words can sometimes be forgotten in our yogic practices, which is unfortunate due to the fact that they are the most important part of yoga. So we're going to go through them quickly here. Our first one is ahimsa, or nonviolence. And ahimsa essentially is the belief that and the practice of not creating suffering in our world, as well, not letting suffering happen within our own body, but not being responsible for any sort of suffering here on earth. That can look like protecting small animals. That can look like protecting your friends. That can look like not hitting anyone or saying rude things. That can look like not having rude thoughts or having displays of aggression, choosing to opt out of wars. And ahimsa is something that we can practice through channeling our anger properly. Appropriate expression of our discontentments can help us to achieve ahimsa. Brainstorming ways that we can stop and breathe and recognize our emotions so that we can control them, and then choose a path that is benevolent to the universe and solves our problems instead of creates deeper resentment and more harm, as that only cycles back to hurt us even deeper. So our next one is satya. And satya is truthfulness. And this truthfulness is when we choose not to create lies because we know it creates betrayal and it separates us from the people around us. We might lie because we want to seem bigger or better, but in reality, lying takes away our motivation to truly become bigger and better. And when we do that, we are only hurting our own ability to create and live our best life by tricking ourselves and others around us into thinking we've already achieved those things. So by not lying, we can ask for the doorways from others and ourselves and the Spirit to help us to become greater, to fix the world around us by recognizing where it's not working. Is this act of truthfulness? Is sometimes looking at the hard facts and peacefully, calmly being able to deal with them. So our next one is asteya, or non-stealing. And asteya can look like physically not being a thief, not taking things from stores or people or others. But it can also look like not trespassing where you don't belong. It can look like not competing in things that you didn't need to compete with. It can look like not trying to one-up each other in conversation. It can look like showing up on time because you don't want to rob someone of their time or your own. Non-stealing can also be something that you don't steal from yourself. So in a way, when we lie, asatya, we are stealing from ourselves. So non-stealing is our third yama. So our next yama is brahmacharya, which is respecting boundaries. But it's also looking out into the world and seeing it through the eyes of the Brahmin. It's choosing to create a more beautiful world where things are more harmonious and aiming to make this a more harmonious earth for everyone. And our next one and our last yama is arigrappa, which is non-attachment or non-possessiveness. When we practice yoga, we'll see that there are a lot of people in the world who are renunciates. Renunciation of the worldly things is a very large concept in Buddhism, as well as yogic philosophy. And this falls with the arigrappa, the non-possessiveness, the non-attachment. This includes attachment to life, attachment to people, attachment to relationships, attachment to being the champion, attachment to getting our way, attachment to material items. So arigrappa is our non-attachment. So after this, we're going to move into our niyamas. So the difference really between yamas and niyamas is that our yamas are more external. They're more to do with how are we dealing with the people around us, situations around us, our external relationship with the external world. Whereas our niyamas are our internal relationship with our internal world. And they can be different because when you're looking outwards, you're going to come up with situations where you're going to need to make choices of stealing or lying. And you have to choose not to. Whereas our arigrappa, our niyamas, are about what we have to do internally on a regular basis to continue this yogic path. So there's never going to be a moment where you have to choose it because you have to be choosing it all the time. It's not situational. It's a constant agreement within yourself. So our first one is sacha, or cleanliness, or purity. And this can range from keeping our physical body clean through kriyas or cleansing practices. This can look like taking a shower before our practice, cleaning our mat, but this can go deeper as well. This can be choosing to live in a clean room by cleaning our spaces constantly. This can look like clean eating, so choosing to put clean foods into our systems. This can look like choosing clean practices when we buy things, so choosing companies that we believe are making less pollution. So this saucha, or this purity, this cleanliness, is necessary for, and they say cleanliness is next to godliness, and this is really the same saucha. So our next one is santosha, or contentment. And essentially this one is the agreement that we will try to keep a smile on our faces, that we will try to find the sweetness in life, that we will try to, and make an agreement with ourselves to indulge in the things that bring us happiness, to introduce others to the things that bring them happiness, to let everyone have access to those things that make happiness possible. So this contentment, or this devotion to happiness in whatever form that it looks like. So our next one is tapas. And tapas is a literal meaning of burning. Tapas is our devotional sacrifice. On the yoga mat, it's when our muscles are aching and we choose to show up. It is waking up early in the morning, choosing to come to our yoga mat as our tapas, our offering. It is our devotional sacrifice, or offering to God in many ways. So the next one is svadhyaya, or self-inquiry. It is our ability to look at ourselves, to examine ourselves, and to improve ourselves. It is our ability to be a student to our own experience and learn from our mistakes and reach towards our highest self through self-examination. And our last one is Isvara Pranihada, or self-surrender, or our ability to release ourselves from conflict, desire. It's our ability to surrender as well to the beauty in life, to trust that the universe will be with us and is guiding us to our best existence. It's trusting that the world around us is exactly how it should be, and that we only need to change it so much, but that the things in the past are fine there. It's not toiling in our regret. It's not burning in our suffering, our sadness. It's releasing that guilt and surrendering to the world as it is. And finding that space of inner peace, finding that contentment, finding that sweetness in life, by not attaching and holding ourselves to a way things should be, but it's also not attaching ourselves to the way that we think the world ought to be for us to be happy. It's about being fine with the way things are now. So that's a quick overview of our yamas and niyamas. And all of these beautiful little words and these beautiful little aspects of the first two branches of yoga, which are our very important foundation of yoga, and if anything, the real yoga. If these are interesting to you and you would like to go deeper, which I really encourage you to do, as each of these talks are a full course and lesson and lifestyle to learn within themselves. I know many yoga practitioners who could say Yamas and Niyamas, but would not be able to go through each word. And I really do believe that they should be split up. So we're going to talk about each one of them separately within their own video, so that we can learn about them individually and how we can improve them in our lives and how we can practice them and make them a stronger, more foundational part of our everyday experience. So thank you so much for joining me today with Terra Nova Philosophy Talks. I'm Tess, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Namaste.